I hated the phone. I just hated the phone, right? And I built my business around, generating leads, but I still had to have that conversation. And what Wally's going to unpack today with you guys is getting to the core. And we have people that don't even want to call people that know them. So this isn't a cold calling conversation today. It's what is getting you in the way of realizing like your real, full, true potential in real estate sales. And Wally came into my life as a personal coach to me around my business, but then also specifically lead conversion. And then he coached my entire team. And we got to the point where we had, 10 agents producing over 450 transactions. And so like highly efficient, highly dialed in when it comes to the stuff that Wally does. And now specifically, I think God has just put him in a position where, and you'll learn a little bit about his backstory as well. But I think God is putting him in a position to really help agents unlock like what is getting in your way. Like, why are you afraid or fearful or whatever it is, calling that for sale by owner or calling someone that you know really well and asking them to promote your business and drive referrals, whatever it is. I'd say this is for like 90% of agents have this quote unquote call reluctance, which is a whole lot more than that. So Wally, I'll give you the stage here. And I will say this is that I guard you guys against solicitation in general. Wally runs, and I don't even know if you're going to offer.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
usually runs I've had people go through what Wally's going to show you guys. He does it at a fraction of what he should or could be charging for it because of our relationship. I don't benefit even a little bit financially from that at all. So it has nothing to do with me. But if anything that Wally goes through resonates with you, you must take the next step with him.
We're going to talk about a couple of difficult things today, mostly about me. But if you are a procrastinator, perfectionist, if you have imposter syndrome, if you're not able to make phone calls to people you know or don't know or both, if that's in your way in any way, shape, or form today, I'm going to tell you exactly where it comes from and then give you an opportunity to let me help you work through it. I think there's some people on here that have taken my class who probably can say something nice at some point, but that's not why I'm here today. I'm just super passionate about what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so you're welcome to ask questions. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but the phone will never hurt you. The phone will not hurt you, right? So let's take off here. Okay, so real quickly about me. I mean, Lars just gave you an amazing introduction. I love Lars. He's like a brother to me, and I've learned a lot from him. We certainly are brothers in Christ as well. But a few things about me. I'm a little long in the tooth when it comes to the real estate industry. I've had some great experiences to meet amazing people like Lars, and I've worked with a bunch of you in the past too. Justin, Sohail. I mean, these are just people that I can see here. Awesome people. So, but yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. So what? Basically I share this because I just want you to know that Lars didn't just find me in front of his house one day and said, "Hey, I need you to cover 45 minutes so I can go have breakfast." Okay, so that's really what that comes down to. But I have had a pretty special real estate career for sure. So the phone definitely cannot hurt you. Okay, those are the specs on the average iPhone. It's only going to hurt you if somebody throws it at you or if you try to eat it. Okay, so just take that for checking. Anybody here have phone call face? Time to make a phone call, your body language changes, arms folded, you get that like feeling that like I'm gonna gag in my stomach sort of thing. And it's natural. I mean, there's a physiological response to every emotion we have. And you start talking about prospecting and things like that, and with the exception of crazy people like Sohail, Justin Boone, me, you start getting a little like the extra saliva in your throat there, start throwing up in your mouth a little bit, and so there's a reason for that. And the good news is you're not stuck with it. So does this, tell me if this, and think like, hey, the leads suck, Wally, like this is not good. This is really why it's so hard. So tell me if any of this reminds you of a prospecting session for you. All right, I kid. It's tongue in cheek, but I think that's what a lot of people don't want to pick up the phone. That's what they're thinking in their head's going to happen, right? The call is going to go off the rails. They're going to get yelled at. I've I think I've made over 220, either made or taken over 225,000 calls in my professional career. And the number of people who've yelled at me has been minuscule. Okay. But when we have call reluctance and challenges like that, we think every call is going to go like that. So anyway, so look, here's the thing, back in 1995, April of next month, trying to think here. Yeah, we'll be at the internet will technically have been available to the public for 30 years. And back then, what did they say? You're never going to go to brick and mortar again. You're going to buy everything over the internet. You're not going to have to talk to salespeople, boats, house, cars, whatever. Now here we are 30 years later, and still a real estate agent is still a very important part of the process. You'd all agree. That's why you're here today, right? And the fact of the matter is not only are real estate agents necessary, but the phone is necessary as well, whether it's from the beginning to start a conversation, to maintain a conversation, or to close a deal. And even if you're doing, lead generation online, you're doing all kinds of stuff where people are coming to you, there's still that last 5 yards you've got to get them to get into the end zone. You'd agree? Yes? So at some point, you're going to have to talk to somebody. So the numbers do not lie. So look, the fact of the matter is that people are still taking phone calls. Most sales professionals feel that the phone is still their most effective sales tool. And for what it's worth, just under 62 of all internet generated leads are converted by the phone. Most sales reps give up after the fourth follow up. Unfortunately, people are going to say no 4 times on average before they say yes. People don't qualify. They're so happy to have an appointment, they just jump on it. And a lot of it has to do with your tone of voice, which is your physiology, but not in person. And this is why folks have so much trouble getting good results, is because they approach it with a sense of fear versus a sense of confidence. Now, here's the thing. People always want to talk to somebody, right? Right. And you can see awareness stage, decision stage, consideration stage. So almost 2/3 of the people want to talk to somebody in the consideration stage. Okay. So as soon as somebody raises their hand and says, hey, I'm thinking about selling my home, or I'm thinking about buying a home, that's the consideration stage. The majority of them do want to talk to somebody. You can see that, correct? All right. The other thing is that, and this is where, we were talking about, like, only 3 to 5% of the business for any sales industry is now business. 26.6 is 90 to 180 days. And the rest of it, 70%, is literally more than 6 months away. Okay. And in addition to the fact, and FUB just gave us this data last week, basically they're saying it takes as many as 20 attempts to make contact with some prospects these days. But once you make the initial contact, it could take as many more as 7 interactions after that. Okay, Lars was talking about this being a relationship business. You can't build relationships without talking with somebody. Okay, think about your best friend, whether it's your husband, your wife, somebody from school, whatever. You talk to them on the regular. You have a relationship with them because you guys talk regularly, right? You cannot email and text a great relationship with somebody and expect it to turn out beneficially for either of you. Does that make sense? You guys are with me on this? Yes, yes, excellent. So, pulled out the old Mythbusters logo here. We're going to bust some myths today. So, Wally, I hate scripts and dialogues. They make me sound robotic and unnatural. Well, the fact of the matter is that the reason they make you sound unnatural and robotic is because you haven't internalized them. A script is literally a map for a phone call. It allows you to take the call from the beginning through the middle to the end in an order and direction where you want to take them. Most people don't like scripts because it feels like it's uncomfortable for them. I've given people scripts and they've rewritten them, and I'm like, give me that and tear it up. Fact of the matter is you can't make the script more comfortable. You have to make you more comfortable with the script. You guys, does that make sense? Right? You just have to get your head around it. Okay, it's that simple. Listen, your favorite song is a script, is it not? 90% of songs are stories, right? And so as a result of that, you learn those words. It's a script. It's the exact same thing. It's a script. You learn it in order to say it. I could wake half of you up in the middle of the night and have you sing your favorite song to me half asleep. You'd be able to do it with unerring certainty. I've got to be perfect and know everything to be effective on the phone. There's no such thing as perfect, okay? There's still stuff that somebody asked me the other day, and I've been doing this for 27 years as an agent, 24 years as a coach. Like, hey, what do you hear about Google Maps for generating leads? I'm like, I've heard zero about that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I don't know everything. I'll never know everything. And I said, hey, I don't know, but I'll check on it, which was fine, right? So you're not going to ever be perfect, but in addition to role playing, you just got to get on the phone and start talking to people. I mean, that's like game speed. Every one of you has done something else other than real estate in your life. And you were a kid, you were an athlete, you were a musician, you were an actor, an actress, you were a gamer. Like, you did something on a regular basis that you got better at day over day, week after week, month after month. This is the exact same process right here. Okay, that makes sense. Yes. I'm bothering people when I called them to discuss real estate. Okay, bothering is calling someone you don't know to sell them something they don't want. You're only bothering somebody when you're calling someone you don't know to sell them something they don't want. If somebody has raised their hand, if you've generated a lead, whether it's a buyer or seller, and they said, hey, I'm thinking of buying or selling, you are not bothering them, you are helping them. Are there a significant number of unqualified, unethical people in our industry? There are a preponderance of people like that. And if they don't get in touch with you, if the person doesn't get in touch with you, there's a chance they're going to get in touch with somebody who's not going to do a good job for them. Okay. 70% of those lawsuits in every state are disclosure type issues, and they're usually between the buyer and the agent or the seller and the agent. Okay. So just know that that is a real challenge out there, and that people who are buying and selling homes need an excellent agent to take care of them. You are not bothering them if you're going to help them tremendously. Past clients in Sphere will send me business advice, email, and text, and we just talked about that. Good relationships require the phone, multiple phone calls, right? You can put an American flag in their front yard on 4th of July. You can send them a seed packets, the schedule for your favorite sports team. You can do all that stuff. But if you don't talk to them, you are going to be the person that sees them at the mall and have them tell you they bought or sold the house for somebody else. And your initial inclination is going to be to follow them to the car and kick the crap out of them. But that never works out well. So just remember that, okay? The leads from almost all lead sources suck. You've probably heard this word, leads don't suck. You suck, right? I'm kidding. You have to realize this, out of every 100 leads, the conversion rate, any lead source, and this takes into consideration referrals, past clients, it's a 2.4% conversion rate. That's it. That is it. Okay. So 100 leads, you're going to talk to 10 to 15 of them, maybe, and you're going to sell 1 to 3 houses. There's lots of, like, you're a professional sorter. You're sifting and sorting. Okay. You're trying to get through people and talk to people until you can find somebody who is a good opportunity. And then you got to stay on top of them and nurture them. Once you nurture them, that conversion rate goes up to 8%, a significant increase, but it's lots of kissing of frogs before you find a prince. Okay. You guys with me on this? Like, you're not just, this is not 2021 where everybody and their uncle is looking to buy a home, right? We are getting to a more balanced market. We're getting to a market where you really have to spend time with the people that have to move. If I send enough emails and texts, I will get plenty of business. So check this out for size. So the average conversion rate for a prospect, not a sale, but a prospect, is 1.4% for email marketing and a whopping 0.28% for SMS messages. That's it. 0.28. How many texts would you have to send and get in a legit opportunity? You'd be like, you like blisters on your thumbs, whatever. But I'm kidding. But the point is you don't have enough time in the day to send enough emails, even through AI and other automated systems, to get enough people in front of you, right? You've got to talk to them. And then lastly, once people see me on social media, we connect, they're going to want to work with me. Like, some of you have amazing social media presence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I follow Lars, so I see all of Lars's stuff, takes years, it takes months, it could take as many as 6 to 8 months just to get that presence to the point where people are going to talk to you and engage with you. And even at that point, you still have to give them a compelling reason to come meet with you. Is that fair? Just because they dig you and they liked you online doesn't necessarily mean they're going to jump on board with you. You still have to show that you can solve their problem and give them a compelling reason to sit with you and then work with you. Okay? So let's get into the heart of the matter here. Car reluctance, procrastination, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, all that good gravy. It is not your fault, but it is in fact your issue to resolve. It will not go away on its own. Okay? I had car reluctance for 10 years. From 1988 to 1998, I actually I got fired from a prospecting job. I was calling and prospecting, got fired. All right. And basically, call reluctance is I either can't or won't pick up the phone to talk to people, whether it's people I know. And what I found, some people will call people they do know, but they don't want to call people they don't know. And some people will call people they don't know, but they do want to call people they do know. And some people don't want to call anybody. Okay. And that's okay. It's perfectly reasonable because that happens. In fact, 2 out of every 3 salespeople on the face of the planet has a very strong need to be liked, which means they fear rejection, which means they think they're bothering somebody or that they're going to be disliked or something like that. And that is one of the main issues for people. But what happens is this is what keeps businesses from flourishing and growing. If you look, look at the people who have great internet presences like Krista Mayshore or Ricky Caruth or Tristan Ahumada or anybody else out there, right? They got on the phone. They built their business on the phone. And then when they made money, they replaced themselves by other people who could pick the phone up for them. But if you're not willing to get to that point, then you are going to have 20, 25 years of real estate that are going to be extremely painful. because your business is going to be one sale 1 month, nothing the next month, 2 months, two the next month, nothing, nothing, three, one. It's going to be helter skelter. It's going to be terrible, and you deserve better than that. And just because the fact you showed up today proves to me that you are willing to do the job to get it done, because you're showing up looking for guidance. It's just you've got to, if you're not picking up the phone and doing your part on the end, that's where you're going to fall short. And it would sucks to do all this other work and then not finish the job, because that's where the money is made. You with me on this, right? And it sucks. I get it. I get it. It sucks. But I'm going to show you why it sucks and how to make it stop sucking. How many times can you say suck in a sentence? I think that was like 8, right? So what does it look like? Well, sometimes we literally, we have negative emotions: fear, embarrassment, shame, anxiety, guilt, panic, tons of shame in my lifetime. Negative thoughts, anticipation of the worst. It's too late to call. It's too early to call. They don't need it. They're going to turn me down. Sometimes you're completely blocked off. I was vapid. I mean, blue sky, just completely couldn't move. Sometimes you become the getting ready to get ready person. I don't know my scripts. I don't know my presentation. There's a huge load of dishes in the sink that need to be cleaned. Oh my God, look at all those clothes I haven't folded. I haven't talked to my mom in a week, right? You're the over preparer, the getting ready to get ready person. Down here, you're fixing to. I don't know, it was broken that they had to fix it to go do something, but they're fixing to, or finda, or whatever it is, right? Sometimes it's fear of getting in front of a camera. Sometimes it's fear of calling past clients in Sphere. Sometimes it's fear of recruiting people to your business. Sometimes you just sit there and kick the crap out of yourself and get into this vicious circle of these things happening. Whatever it is a huge blocking point, is a stopping point. Okay. Now, if you don't recognize that guy, that's me. That was September 5th of 2013. That's my federal prison ID, actually. I went to federal prison for one count of mail fraud. My business partner back in 2005 and 2006 lied at about $15 million worth of mortgages. And so I spent 366 days in federal prison. I weighed a little over 520 pounds there. I would say my life at the time was pretty much as low as it was going to go. And so people are like, Wally, how does a kid from a blue collar family in Nashua, New Hampshire, where there was one homicide for the entire time I lived there until I moved out, how does that guy end up in prison? And well, when you do not resolve issues that you have as a child, they will continue to get worse and worse and worse and cause you to make bad decisions. And so um, when I was younger, and I grew up in an Italian family, and if you know any Italians, you know that the communication style is food, yelling, and getting hit. Food is sometimes a reward, sometimes it's a punishment. But when I was 3, 4, 5, my one of my punishments would be sent to bed without food, and so that created a binge eating disorder in me. And I actually I'm trying to think here. Well, I got to 520 pounds, so over 50 years addicted to food. I was sexually abused when I was 10. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, there was no such thing as child abuse or sexual abuse or spousal abuse. Nobody ever said, hey, don't, tell me if somebody touches you. So that went unattended to for about 20 years. Was addicted to porn at age 11, started engaging in sexual activity at 12. And I was bullied, pretty much all the way through college, but really bad in grammar school and high school. In fact, I'd say one of the worst things is when the tight end on our football team decided to urinate on my leg while I was washing my hair in the shower. And so, all that stuff led to the stuff that, those shadows that Lars was talking about, these challenges that I'm going to talk a little about later, and how they triggered this within you. But then I went on to, and here's the thing, if you would look at my life, you would have gone, wow, this guy's doing great. I was, lineman of the year at my high school. I was defensive player of the year for football in New Hampshire. I graduated from like one of the top 15 liberal arts colleges in the country. I was making 100 grand a year by the time I was 28. I got married, I have 4 kids. I sold 72 houses my first year in real estate. But all that time, I'm addicted to sex and food and pornography and money. I probably wasted up to 2 years with about $6 million in my life. And the reason is that I pretty much had horrible self-esteem, and I had all these issues that needed attending to. Okay. And as a result of leaving them unattended to, I continued to make worse and worse mistakes. And here's what happens is, you know, um, T.R. Becker calls it TFAR: thoughts, feelings, actions, results. We get a trigger. We get triggered by something, right? And that trigger creates an emotion. And one of two things happens. Either we engage in that emotion, which is usually negative, and it goes haywire and out of control, and we start running from things and avoiding things, or we completely avoid it altogether and we go right to action. And usually that action is a negative action, right? So it could be procrastination, it could be perfectionism, it could be beating yourself up, or it could be alcohol or cigarettes or drugs or pornography or sex or any other avoidance strategy that keeps you from dealing with the things you have to deal with. And then you get a result, okay? And procrastination and perfectionism, specifically imposter syndrome, create avoidance strategies that create that unevenness in the pay you get in real estate. Does that make sense? Because consistent action, while it does not produce consistent results, does produce success. All right. And so, for those of you who don't know why you have call reluctance, or why you avoid confrontation, or why you can't deal with an objection, or why you can't talk to people about money, or why you can't get a contract signed, or why you can't go to the gym consistently, or why you can't stick to a diet, or why you can't stick to a calendar, or why you can't stick to goals, I'm going to show you. So, here's the deal. We have, a parasympathetic nervous system and a sympathetic nervous system. Okay, parasympathetic nervous system is basically rest and digest. This is what we're doing right now. We're chilling, laying low, talking, watching me, hopefully listening. Whatever you're doing. Okay, that's everything's in order. Your pupils are dilated properly. Your mouth is saliva. Your digestive tract is doing what it needs to do. Just the right amount of adrenaline and all that stuff. But as soon as that fight, freeze, or flight mechanism gets triggered, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in, and that's when your pupils open up wide. You start getting a dry mouth. This is going to resonate for some of you when it's time to do something you're uncomfortable with. You get that dry mouth, the sweaty pits, the sweaty palms, the beating heart. Your stomach gets upset. You get lightheaded, and that's because your body's getting ready to either fight, hide, or run. And it's shutting down your entire digestive system. It's shooting mass amounts of adrenaline and other chemicals in your body to get you ready to fight or run. And anybody have a dog here that gets excited and pees when it sees people? Right? Part of this whole fight, freeze, or flight thing is that when you get excited, your bladder gets loosened up, so you can empty your body of anything that's going to keep you from being effective. So that's what happens. So what happened is something happened when you were a kid, between the time you were born, usually between the time you're born and the time you're 12, that triggered. In most cases, it's freeze, okay, or pardon me, flight or freeze. Lars actually was fight. Okay, so um, you know, we experienced something, a trauma, like we had sexual, emotional, or physical abuse. Either we had a near-death experience with somebody that we know died, death of a loved one. I remember I was 10 years old, and I remember hearing a noise in the kitchen, and I went out. It was 1978, 78. Went into the kitchen, and my dad's sister's performing CPR on my mom's mom. She had had a stroke. And I remember the ambulance coming, and then they put me to bed. And to this day, nobody has pulled me aside and told me what happened or helped me process that. Pretty traumatic, right? She ended up living, but she ended up going to a rehabilitation center and died a few years later. But stuff like that. Your parents who fought all the time, verbally, physically, or both. Somebody was kidnapped. I work with people who got lost at a park for 4 hours, or their family members got lost at a park for 4 hours. Something that was traumatic will trigger that uncertainty. Okay, bullying. Okay, school, home, playground. Could be a single instance. I've got a woman, a friend of mine here in Dallas, was a huge perfectionist. She got made fun of in gym class one time for wearing dress shoes to gym class because she thought it would look good. And they teased her, and she spent the rest of her life being a perfectionist. Brand name everything. And just had to look perfect when she left the house. And there's only one problem with that, and that's what perfectionism does not exist, right? Hidden identities. These are belief systems we create about ourselves without any input from somebody else. I'm a big guy. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a big guy. But big can be fat. Big can be dumb. But there's lots of things that go along with big that are just not nice. And so you give it that meaning. If you grow up poor, you can have a serious, serious issue with feeling good enough or feeling worthy and feeling deserving. I grew up poor. I saw the other kids with their Levi's and Timberland boots and Nike sneakers when Nike's hit the ground and their nice puffy ski jackets and ski tags. And I saw my tough skins and my, ugly shirts and my coat that looked like my grandfather would have worn it. And I saw that. I saw that the kids had nicer lunches than I did. Remember cowtails? I remember cowtails. Those, like, supposedly I've never had one yet. It's 50 years, but they're like caramel with chocolate, and all the kids have cowtails. Mom, can we get cowtails? No. Powdered milk, the whole thing. Listen, super grateful, right? God's been great. I've not gone a day without eating, not got a day without shelter, not gone a day without clothing, not gone a day without heat. Well, except for when the heat goes out. But the whole point is I understand that. But this formed my belief system about my self-worth. And I saw money as a way to get people to like me and to approve of me. So that's why I've blown millions of dollars, because I used it as a way to get that hole filled inside of me where I needed to fill it with my own love and my own care. And then, okay. And then lastly, external influences. If your parents got divorced, and it was even if it wasn't acrimonious, if they got divorced and you spent more time with one parent than the other, or your stepmom was Cruella de Vil, or your stepdad was a horrible person, or you got compared to your siblings, or I had one client I worked with here. This is a tough one. Parents got divorced, father left, moved to Georgia, barely talked to her, finally brought her down for Christmas one year, and she went and saw Christmas, and under the tree there were, like, because that woman had two girls, there were like 30 presents, and literally 25 of them were for the girls and just a few of them were for her. That's the memory she had of her Christmas with her dad. And alcoholic parents, Brene Brown says, when you numb one feeling, you numb them all. I can't numb pain or sadness and hurt and not numb love and care and whatnot. And so, if you had a parent that was an alcoholic, they couldn't pour into you emotionally the way they needed to. It doesn't mean they were mean people or hurtful people or bad people. They just couldn't do for you what a parent needs to do as far as giving you approval and helping establish confidence in you and letting how to deal with certain things. Okay. And if your parents never fought, that's not good. At the Leave It to Beaver home, that's a tough one too. Because if your parents never fought in front of you, they never taught you how to deal with confrontation. Okay. Like they had no clue. And so the first time you left the house and somebody gave you some negative feedback, you're like, whoa, I'm avoiding that at all costs, right? No way. If they were constantly negative, I mean, there was not a thin person. My dad's dad was thin, but there's really not a thin person in my family. And, I remember I was 12, 13. I was standing at the corner of the table. I can still see myself sitting there. My dad's sitting there. And it was summertime. I had my shirt off, and I had like this little, what Dunlap's disease is, right? When your belly Dunlap over your belt. So I had a little Dunlap's disease. And my dad pointed at my stomach, says, that'll never go away. He says, my dad has it, I have it, and you're going to have it. Oh, I still have it, And so these things that our parents say to us, and inconsequentially in most cases, I mean, they're not trying to hurt us in most cases, but that all triggers challenges. It triggers lack of self-worth. It triggers lack of self-esteem. It triggers lack of approval, right? Like we need to get approved of. Lots of people when they're younger, you know, you do a good job, you were supposed to do a good job. You do a bad job, you heard about it, right? You're bullied at school. I mean, we need that approval. We need that acceptance. We need somebody to say, hey, you need to approve of yourself that you're good enough just the way you are, but nobody does that when we're children. More parents do it now, but so in this creates this initial fear of whatever it does, and then every day as your life goes on, you avoid those things and you strengthen that avoidance muscle, and then your brain, right? Our brain have this negativity bias. It's really there to protect us from like petting rattlesnakes and getting in front of an 18-wheeler going 80 miles an hour. But what happens is because nobody teaches us how to manage our emotions when we're younger, your brain's like, oh, well, that rejection scared us, so we're going to avoid that. Right? Oh God, when my parents fight, bad things happen, so I'm going to avoid confrontation at all costs, or whatever it is. So your brain latches onto that, and then it causes you to avoid anything that smells even remotely of what that is. And then your whole life, your brain just protects you. And now, even though it's 2025, when something comes up that triggers that avoidance behavior, your brain thinks it's 1976 or 1982 or whatever it was when you were between the ages of 1 and 12, and it deals with the exact same way. Does that make sense? Because it has no clue, right? But you don't need to be afraid of a phone call because it's not going to hurt you. You don't need to be afraid if somebody tells you don't like you, right? Anybody here like Brussels sprouts? Raise your hand if you like Brussels sprouts. Anyone? All right, you're all officially dead to me. Dead, dead, dead. Worst vegetable on the face of the planet. Oh, but Wally, like crisp it up in oil and onions and garlic and soy sauce and bacon and maple syrup. And I say, you know what? If you have to do that much to any food, it can't taste good, okay? I could do that to a baseball cap and the baseball cap would taste good, right? Period, end of discussion, right? But some of you crazies like Brussels sprouts, I don't. But is it me or you, or is it the Brussels sprout? It's us, right? Same Brussels sprouts. Some people are going to like Brussels sprouts, some aren't. Some people are going to like us, some people aren't. And somebody liking you or not liking you has zero to do with you because there's people you don't like. It has everything to do with what they feel. But so many people get to the point where they have to have somebody like us because we haven't approved of ourselves. And so that's the problem. And so this is what's gotten worse and worse and worse over time. Now, here's the thing. You can actually overcome it. You are not stuck with you. Okay, it can be overcome. Bad news is this. If you do not deal with it, it's only going to get worse. And not just the call reluctance, but other things, because it is a mental health issue. It is not, bipolarism or narcissism or sociopath or psychopath or something like that. It's not that kind of a mental health issue, but it is a mental health issue that needs to be attended to. And your brain, while its job is to keep you safe and alive, also it craves certainty, it craves understanding. And it's going to allow you to push it down, but then it's going to come back and it's going to say, okay, Wally, we still have to deal with this. And every day that it goes unattended to, it gets worse. And eventually it can lead to you know, um, you know, uh, anxiety, PTSD, depression, even suicide. In fact, when I got out of prison, I met somebody and I dated them for 4.5 years. Very toxic relationship, horrible person, so badly wanted to be loved and approved of. And I asked her to marry me. She said yes. And she finally wouldn't move from where she lived in Texas. And I broke up with her. And a week later, I found out that she was married the entire time we were together. Yeah, that's correct, Christy. Yep. So for me, that was like the last bad decision in basically 45 years of bad decisions. And I decided I was going to take my own life. Now, clearly, I didn't, but it gets that bad. Okay. I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but your unresolved issues in whatever area of your life are going to impact you, and they're going to impact your relationships. They're going to impact your business. They're going to impact your health. There's just no way around it. Okay. So you have to deal with it, even if it's for not for prospecting, just to live longer and happier and feel good about who you are and realize that you don't need anybody's approval. Okay. So I've kind of gone through and created this 5-step process of how you do it. So first thing is like any solution, you got to go ahead and find out the source. You got to become aware of what's causing the problem, right? I just gave you some categories. Some of you, your brains have already been thinking about what it was like, what happened when you were a kid. I'm sure many of you have already gone and remembered something you were made fun of or whatever. And it's just your brain going, hey, I hear what this guy's saying. Listen to him because we've got to get this out of us, right? So first thing you do is identify the source. Here's the thing. I did some research. I'm like, can you talk to your subconscious mind? So I got like some sort of like stupid 1.3 million responses. And the fact of the matter is, you can talk to your subconscious mind and you can ask it questions and it will know the answer. Now, if you don't know Chinese algebra and you ask your subconscious mind about Chinese algebra, you're getting bupkis in return. But if you say, hey, what from my past has caused me to experience car reluctance, it's going to tell you everything. And it's going to continue to unload over a period of time. So you want to know? When you're done today, get 2 note cards. You perfectionist, you can cut a piece of paper in half. Doesn't have to be note cards. And just write down what from my past has caused me to experience car reluctance, or what is it from my past has caused me to procrastinate or be a perfectionist. You can write whatever questions you want on there. Keep one with you today or next week and just keep writing down what it is. Put one next to your nightstand. And because your brain at night when you go to bed, your brain is processing things that are, among other things, that are unresolved. Anybody here have trouble going to sleep? Anybody here have trouble staying asleep? Okay, so part of that, a good portion of that is your active mind. Your brain, when you go to bed, among other things, it's basically taking all of the experiences from today and every other day since you were born, and it's trying to make sense of it because your brain, it craves certainty and safety and understanding. So if you have unresolved issues, it's going to be working all night long. And eventually, every night that goes by and it can't find a space on the shelf, it leaves it on the floor, it leaves it on the floor, it leaves it on the floor. And soon the cart starts bumping into it. It's got this cart full of things that need to be resolved and it starts bumping into it. And that's when you get insomnia. That's when you have trouble staying asleep. That's when you have trouble going to sleep because your brain is working overtime trying to resolve these things. And it's waking you up and saying, hey, Wally, I keep telling you, I keep giving you these feelings inside your body during the day of anxiety and depression and whatever, and you're not listening to me. So now it's nighttime. You need to listen to me. Okay. Now, mind you, there are people who are in fight mode who are experiencing the same thing, right? They have success, but they still have unresolved issues from when they were a child that still need to be resolved, right? There's no way around it, whether it's fight, freeze, or flight. If something happened that created that, even if you're a ridiculous overachiever and amazing things happen, there's still stuff to be dealt with. Frank Shamrock, who was a UFC fighter, his dad beat the crap out of him and his brother, and he became a UFC fighter and kicked the crap out of people for life. Go hear his story. It's amazing. But he was a fight guy. A lot of us are flight people, okay? Anyway, you want to know what's going on? Do this. Now, number 2, awareness, define, identify, and mindfulness. Like I said earlier, every emotion has a physiological response that comes along with it. Every single one of them, okay? There's supposedly thousands of emotions. I don't know. There's a good 250 for sure. But the whole point is most of us are super good at avoiding it, right? Oh my God, that uncertainty's coming. I better eat. I better eat. And here's the good news is your brain gets ahead of you. Okay. Your brain starts protecting you before you need it because its job is to keep you safe. I remember I was talking to somebody once and I'd be like, hey, how is it that I'm just eating a full meal and an hour later I want a bowl of shrimp scampi? Like, why is my brain telling me that it wants food even though I'm not hungry? And I had been using food at that point for like 45 years to protect myself. So my brain's like, okay, well, we use food to protect ourselves to make these feelings go away. So you know what? Let's get ahead of the game. So your brain gets ahead of the game and starts protecting you, and it'll start having you do things to prepare for the next bad thing that's going to come your way. Okay. But when that emotion comes up, if you go, okay, hold on a second, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling worried, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling less than, and you go, okay, where is this coming from? Your subconscious is going to say, okay, you've got a presentation tomorrow, you've got a date tomorrow, you've got to go to the gym, you've got to say whatever it is. And then when you acknowledge that, you can become mindful. And mindfulness is literally just stopping for whatever you're doing and focusing on the present, right? If I think about the future, there's lots of uncertainty. There's lots of stuff that can scare the crap out of me, okay? If I think of the past, there's lots of depressing and things. There's things that can make me angry. If I'm focusing right now and I take a second, I focus on my breathing. Square breathing is a great exercise. You look it up. It's just breathing in counts of four in a square. In, four, hold four, out four, hold four, right? That's what takes you from fight and flight and then back into rest and digest. You're saying, brain, relax. This isn't supposed to bother us, okay? That's how, like, when you can manage that process, that's how Travis Pastrana can jump out of a plane with no parachute on and put the parachute on in the middle of the air. Okay, that's how he's gotten to the point where he can control his fight or flight instinct. But it doesn't just have to be that. There's lots of things you can do. Whatever it is, just stop what's going on in your mind and say, okay, I'm going to focus on here and now. And the more you practice, the more you tell your brain that we do not need to be bothered by these things. And eventually, through the power of neuroplasticity, you can literally rewire your brain so that it does not trigger you. All right. It does not trigger you at all. Okay. And so I weighed 520. I've lost about 160 pounds. And a big part of that was, when I wanted to eat, stopping for a second and rewiring my brain. I still have weight to lose, but I'm in control of it now. And you can see that I have a chin again and a neck again. It's beautiful. But the whole point is that's part of it. You've got to stop what's going on. You got to tell your brain there's no need to be afraid of judgment. There's no need to be afraid of a phone call. These are not the things we need you to protect us on. Okay. All right. But it just takes some time. And so that mindfulness is super important. Also, I love the mindful movement on Facebook, the mindful movement. Lots of small, medium, long mindful meditations where they're guided and you can follow along. But you've got to take control of that process and not let those emotions come in and run around in your head uncontrollably, because that's when the crazy things happen. Okay. Next, you got to reprogram your brain for success. We are horrible to ourselves. We say the worst things to ourselves. That was stupid. Oh God, I'm so dumb. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. Oh my God, that was so lazy of me. Right? We say the worst things to ourselves. Things we would never say to anybody else, and certainly stuff we would never say to a child. But guess what? How much does brain weigh? What does the human brain weigh? Pounders, whatever. I don't know. Depends on how smart you are. Mine's probably like a good pound with all the beating it's taken. But the point is it hears everything you say, and if you keep saying I'm dumb, I'm dumb, it's going to go, oh, we're dumb, I'm dumb. So you got to rewire your brain. So what does that mean? You got to change what you say to yourself. You got to change what you focus on. You got to change, what you believe about things and about yourself. It's a great book by Hal Elrod called The Miracle Morning. He has this program called Savers, and you can get it on uh, what do you call Audible if you don't want to read it. But he's got 6 activities every morning. It's so the S is for silence, A is for affirmations, V is for visualization, E is for exercise, R is for reading, and the other S is for scribing or journaling. Okay, it's 10 minutes of each thing, right? Basically, what you're doing is you're controlling what goes into your brain and what's out of your brain. Up until this point in your life, nobody has said, "Hey, this is how you keep this emotion out. This is how you keep this emotion in," right? But by changing what you put into your head, right? Zig Ziglar says you are where you are, and you are who you are and where you are because of what's going on into your mind. If you want to change who you are and where you are, you got to change what's going into your mind. And this is an intentional, deliberate 1 hour activity every day to go ahead and rewire your brain and train your brain to not let all that BS get in the way every day. It takes time. You've got to work on it. Okay. Make sense? Okay. And this is a great exercise. Okay. And then what drives you, right? Cars, boats, houses. Like this, I mean, listen, I go to events all the time. I've seen people come home and they make color-coded goals and they got this whole thing laid out. And they're like, okay, I got my goals, I got my time frames, it's color-coded, it's stacked, it's tabbed, pens. And they sit down the next day to make calls and they go, ooh, look at all those clothes. Ooh, man, I gotta go fold those clothes. They've been there for 2 days, right? Or I haven't talked to my mom in a week, right? because not only have they not worked on the internal side of things, but they're using carrots like boats and cars and houses and money and retirement as ways of motivating themselves, or they're using sticks like the avoidance of pain, right? And the bad thing is the pain of change is super acute, but it's shorter. The pain of staying the same is like this, and it's pretty much tolerable. It's got some acute times, but it's like, I can deal with this. I can deal with this, right? So sometimes pain doesn't work either. So there's three things. Number one, autonomy. I have yet to meet a real estate agent who doesn't want time freedom, money freedom, location freedom. Right? There's all kinds of other stuff, but those are the big three for everybody: time freedom, money freedom, location freedom. I want to do what I want, where I want, how I want. Nobody tell me what to do, right? Autonomy is you living your best life where you're in control of everything that you do and it feels natural. You get up when you want, you go to bed when you want, you spend your money where you want, you spend your time with who you want. That's what everybody in real estate wants as far as I'm concerned. The second thing is mastery. Like, what do I need to know how to do this? Well, one thing that everybody needs to do is to learn how to master their emotions, because not being able to master your emotions is disastrous, not just for you, but for other people in your life. Because if you snap when you get triggered, or if you run or whatever, it has a what's one, a butterfly effect, right? The butterfly effect is that it, when you make that decision, when you do something, it's got that ripple effect that keeps going. And so you got to master your emotions. What else you have to master? Well, if you want to make money in real estate, you've got to get on the phone. You've got to prospect. You got to know what to say, when to say, how to say it. There are 6 objection categories and 5 benefit categories. That's it. You don't need to be a whiz and learn everything. You got to know how to handle 6 objection categories and how to stress 5 benefits. That's it, right? 6 objection categories, right? Money, time, motivation. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have somebody else do it. I got to talk to somebody. Benefits: good, fast, cheap, make you more money, stress free. That's it. If you can tie everything you do into those 5 benefits and know how to handle those 6 objections, you can make as much money as you want in real estate. Are you with me? Right? Guys, I'm no genius. I graduated last in my college class, right? I played college football, high school football. Like, I'm sure I slammed my head into other people at least 150 times a day for 6 months a year for 8 years. I'm positive I drank enough for 2 lifetimes. Like, there's plenty of blame. I peed out plenty of brain cells. I'm pretty sure of that. Okay. I'm not the sharpest cat. Okay. I just know that if you do what you're supposed to do and you repeat it, it's going to work for you. Right. So you got to know what you want. You got to know what you need to master to happen. And you got to think about your why, your purpose. So I'm going to tell you a little story here, and we're going to go a couple minutes over. Is that okay with you guys? So obviously, when you go to prison, you get divorced, you don't see your kids for a year, it impacts them negatively. All my kids have had trouble. I remember my son tried to take his own life when he was 14. He was bullied at school and all the other stuff that happened. And being the dad and him being the son, he tried to take his own life. Fortunately, he didn't know that a bottle of Tylenol was not going to kill him. But he's in great shape now. He's up in New Hampshire. He's 21. He's an HVAC tech. He loves life. I gave him my truck. He's hunting. He's a happy kid. But it was a bad time. And I remember when I started this company 4 years ago, I said, Alex, why don't you come work with me? And he's like, oh, okay. And so I gave him a piece of paper. I said, write down 10 things you want to accomplish. And he sat there for an hour and couldn't come up with one thing. And I thought you wanted to go to Peter Luger's and have a steak in New York. Oh, yeah. I thought you wanted to, move to New Hampshire and get a house near a pond or a lake. Oh, yeah. So all these things were in there. And I'm like, for the life of me, like, why could he not come up with any of those things? And so I have a friend, an associate in England. Her name is Tara Halliday. She's an expert on imposter syndrome. She works with CEOs. And we talked for a while. And my takeaway was this, is that, if you had your flight instinct triggered when you were a kid, your freeze instinct, your brain has been spending its entire life protecting you from things. Does that make sense? Your brain is working overtime trying to protect you, to keep you from bad things happening. And what happens is in addition to the anxiety and depression and the low self-esteem, the low self-worth in certain areas of your life, it keeps you from thinking about the future. It keeps you from being open to the possibilities that good things can happen. It keeps you from really believing that they can happen. And so it's hard to have a why when your brain's focusing on just keeping things out. Is that fair? So what I've learned is that if you have not dealt with the crap that has impacted you for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's almost impossible to find a why, because your brain will not, your brain won't allow you to do it, because there's so much fear associated with the future, right? Just doesn't want to deal with it. So, people are like, oh, my kids are my why, or a boat's a why, or a house is a why. No, your kids are a who. A boat is a what, a house is a what, a vacation is a where, retirement is a when. Okay. Those are your results. Okay. The how, right? Simon Sinek, these are called his golden circles. He said, when you have your why is made up of the three things. What your result is, what's your outcome. You've got to be able to take action over something in order to get the result that you want. And it's got to be an action. And then finally, you've got to know why you want to do it. So I'm going to give you a quick one here, okay? My dad died when he was 49. My mom died when she was 63. Neither of them took care of themselves. I was 23 when my dad died. My mom was, and my sister was 19. My brother was 17, okay? I was 39 when my mom died. I had not taken care of myself. And last May, I went to the doctor, and for the first time, I saw little red marks on my blood test results for my kidneys and my liver. He says, your kidneys and liver are starting to fail. And he said, I cannot give you enough medication to keep up at the rate at which you're killing yourself. You've got to take care of this. So I went home. My daughter had just graduated the year before from University of North Texas with a degree in health and well-being coaching. And I said, Emma, can you put a workout and a diet together for me? And she pauses and looks at me. She said, no. My 23-year-old daughter, I said, what? She goes, no, I'm not going to do it. I go, why? She goes, you've already told all of us. She's got two sisters and a brother. She's one of four. She says, you've told us so many times you were going to lose weight. You wrote us letters. You did all these things. You've lost weight. You've gained weight. And we're at a point now we've all talked and we just accepted the fact that you're going to die young. And we looked at each other. I go, really? She goes, yeah. I go, okay. And she's like, we just can't open our hearts up to the fact that you're going to let us down again. So I can't do this for you. So you can imagine that, Emma's the same age I was when my dad died. And so I'm like, okay, well, I've always had a strong enough reason. I just, for some reason, not for some reason, I just decided that that was going to be the reason. And so I started taking some Zepbound and working and eating well. I've lost about 70 pounds since last May, right? Which is great. I have more to go. But the point is like the what? Like I got to be at 260, 200. I'm 6'3". I'm a big man. My skeleton probably weighs more than most of you, okay? Like if you're 5'2" or 3 and you weigh 140 pounds or less, my whole skeleton probably weighs more than you. I'm a big guy. I played college football, but I got to live a long life. My dad only saw one grandchild out of 12. My dad did not, he didn't see any weddings. He only saw one college graduation. He only saw two high school graduations, didn't see his 25th wedding anniversary, hasn't met any of our spouses or whatever. He missed everything, everything. And I'm not going to do that. Okay. And so when I want to eat something I don't want to eat, sometimes I fight with myself. Sometimes I lose, but I do it. When I don't want to get my fat ass out of bed and work out, I remember that conversation. I remember looking at my dad in a casket, still with dark hair, lying there. You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to do. You got to go to that emotion and be like, I'm not going to let that happen. And so, in order for you to be able to get to that point, maybe if you have call reluctance, you got to get through some of that crap so you can really work on the things that you need to so it can get there. Okay. You don't lose 156 pounds by accident. You don't get over crap by accident. You got to do the work. But when you do the work, everything will change for you. So identify the source, awareness defined, identify mindfulness, reprogram your brain, what drives you, what's your mastery, what's your autonomy, and what the hell, why are you doing this? Really, really, what's your why? And a lot of people have call reluctance, have no idea what their why is because their brain is so focused on protecting them. So I've written a couple of books. I'm going to drop my book, Tragic Hero, into the chat right here. And thanks everybody for all the kind words. I really appreciate you. Let me go ahead and drop this link in here. So here's the deal. I've got a class. It's an 8-week class. There's the link to the book in the cover. And thank you again for all the kind words. And by the way, you Brussels sprout eaters can suck it. But anyway, first of all, here's oh yeah, one last thing. So I never listened to the words of Frozen, of Let It Go. And my daughters literally wore the image off of that DVD. And so I finally listened to it one day. And this is the part of it that really struck me. Okay. Oops, hold on a second here. For God's sakes. Come on, go back. Go back. Thank you. Right? Hold on a second here. Obviously I have no idea how to use Zoom. Oh my God. Hello. Let me try this one more time. I got too many things here. Okay. I mean, this is kind of what it is. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. All right, so quick commercial here. That's my phone number. That's my email address. That's my calendar link if you want to grab 15 minutes with me. I have an 8-week class. I guarantee you'll overcome the call reluctance. Okay, it's normally $2,500 and make it available for $300. I will break it up into any payment structure you want. I've never not let somebody take the class. Okay, I guarantee 1,000% if you do what I tell you to do, your call reluctance, your fear of anything, everything related to your business will be gone. but you have to do the work. Okay. I take 10 people in a class and I just don't check boxes. All right. If you're done not getting what you want in life, if you're done not achieving everything you want in your business and life, and you want to change it for good, send me a text message. Let me know you want it. I'm starting another class next week. And when I say guarantee, meaning if you're not over your car reluctance in 8 weeks, I will put you in my class again as many times as you need to. I will work with you one-on-one because I will not let anybody go through what I went through and not have a great life for themselves. Okay. Make sense? So shoot me a text. I'll give you my number again. All right. And who's asking for permission to access? Who?
Wally,
What?
the link is asking for access.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
It says
I mentioned that, but I think the message got lost.
all right, well, just click on it and then ask for access and I'll give you access. So don't worry about it. Just click on it and I'll give you access. Sorry. But it said anybody who had the link can do it. Okay. Anyway, so here's the point. Okay. You got to think Lars does not put me in front of you just because I'm another pretty face, because I'm not a pretty face, right? He wants good things for you. I want good things for you. It's time, if not now, when, right? But it's time to go take control of your future and have some great things happen for you. Here's my number. You have questions, you need me to work out a payment plan for you, whatever it is, I will make it happen for you. Okay. The only thing I ask is that you just don't sit there and do the same thing you've been doing up to this point, because nothing's going to change and it's going to get worse. Okay. Come talk to me. And if you're scared, definitely call me, because that fear is just going to keep you from doing things and enjoying your life. And, if you're teetering, just go look up The 5 Biggest Regrets of the Lying by Bronnie Ware and look up the top regret. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Thanks for letting me run over today. If you need anything, let me know. Be good. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.